For more than 3 decades, Johnny Carson welcomed thousands of guests onto his stage. Movie legends, music icons, and cultural giants all passed through his chair. Yet among them was a small group of women who mattered more than the rest. These were the women Carson openly said he trusted without hesitation. They made him laugh until he completely lost control on live television. They also revealed a side of Johnny audiences rarely witnessed. Beneath the polished host was warmth, softness, and genuine emotional connection. What follows are the 10 women who clearly held a special place with him. Bette Midler was the woman who moved Johnny Carson to tears. When he chose her as his final guest in May 1992, the message was unmistakable. Out of countless celebrities, Bette was the one he wanted beside him at the end. Instead of a movie star or comic, he chose Midler. When she sang "One for My Baby," Johnny unraveled. The cameras captured his eyes filling as he struggled to keep composure and failed. This was the man famous for never cracking on live TV. 30 years of control disappeared in that moment. Betty's performance broke through completely. The studio fell into silence. It wasn't uncomfortable or sad, but reverent, as if viewers were witnessing something deeply personal. Later retrospectives still call it one of the most emotional moments of his career. It marked a true goodbye and the close of an era. Johnny's reaction made it clear Bette was never just another guest. That emotion wasn't staged, it was real. Dolly Parton was the artist who honored him with a song. Her first appearance came on her birthday in 1977, and she instantly clicked. With charm, humor, and a natural storytelling gift, she made hosting effortless. Dolly spoke freely about her Tennessee upbringing and musical journey, while Johnny happily stepped aside and listened. She brought warmth and energy without trying, which audiences loved. But what cemented her place came 2 years later. In 1979, Dolly wrote an original song just for Johnny. It wasn't promotion or marketing, it was personal. That kind of gesture isn't casual. You only do it for someone you genuinely admire. As she sang about her journey and credited the show for her success, Johnny was visibly touched. His reaction said everything. There was no pretense between them, only real affection. Over time, their bond grew beyond television into true friendship. Betty White was the woman Johnny loved to tease. More than a recurring guest, she was a trusted comedy partner. Together, they performed elaborate sketches like Tarzan and Jane, improvising freely and taking risks. This wasn't a quick interview, it was full collaboration. You don't attempt that unless you trust someone completely. Johnny constantly joked about Bette and her husband, turning their happy marriage into a long-running gag. Every appearance came with new playful jabs, and Bette always fired back. She later explained that his teasing was his way of showing affection. If Johnny joked with you, you were in his inner circle. Joan Embry was the guest who brought chaos and joy. Officially listed as one of Carson's favorites, she regularly arrived with exotic animals from the San Diego Zoo. Her segments produced some of the show's most unforgettable moments. Birds flew loose, snakes made Johnny uneasy, and baby elephants refused to cooperate. Live animals guaranteed unpredictability, and Johnny loved it. He often gave Joan extended airtime, a clear sign of how much he enjoyed her presence. Audiences tuned in knowing something unexpected would happen. Over time, Joan became a staple of the show. When she appeared, viewers knew Johnny would drop his guard, and that was exactly why it worked. A bird could perch on his head and he'd lock up. A sudden sound would erupt and he'd flinch instantly. Certain animals genuinely rattled him, and the fear was visible. That authenticity made it great TV. Because it wasn't staged, Johnny wasn't acting, he wasn't doing a routine, he was simply reacting to chaos unfolding a few feet away. Joan understood exactly how to play that dynamic. She knew how to engineer moments that sparked real reactions. She knew when to nudge him just beyond his comfort zone. That takes instinct. That's why Johnny loved her visits. She made compelling television by letting Johnny be himself, by placing him where jokes couldn't shield him and control disappeared, forcing pure reaction. Then there was Lucille Ball, true comedy royalty. Lucy appeared on The Tonight Show 16 times between 1968 and 1980. That number was extraordinary for someone already legendary. She didn't need Carson for publicity. She was Lucille Ball, one of the most famous women in America. She had defined TV comedy, built an empire, and shattered industry barriers. Carson couldn't praise her enough, calling her a true artist. He believed great comedy proves itself over time, and Lucy's work still did. Her shows remained just as funny decades later. Their on-air banter was playful and relaxed, built on years of familiarity. She kept returning because what she shared with Johnny was rare. He treated her with reverence and warmth, like a cherished mentor. She reminisced about early television, Desi, live audiences, and uncertain beginnings. Johnny listened attentively, leaning in, asking thoughtful questions. He wasn't pretending interest, he genuinely cared. When they shifted into bits, it became two masters speaking the same language. That's why Lucy dominates Carson highlight reels. Those appearances were pure gold. It was mutual respect turned into play, risk, and trust. Lucy didn't feel like a guest promoting something. She felt like someone having fun. Sitting on that couch reminded her why she loved comedy.
Carol Burnett was the guaranteed win. Burnett returned repeatedly through the 1970s for big specials and milestone shows. When perfection mattered, they booked Carol. She was already a superstar with her own hit series. She didn't need Carson, but she kept coming back. Every appearance worked flawlessly. There was never tension or dead air. It was effortless laughter between two people who trusted each other completely. Carol's characters and stories were rich and precise. When things went off script, they improvised. The best moments came when they broke each other. Johnny would crack, Carol would lose it, and the audience followed. Those weren't performed laughs, they were real. Viewers could feel that joy. Critics noticed it too, often highlighting their natural chemistry. Carol was someone Johnny truly looked forward to seeing. Joan Rivers was the one he trusted most. Carson discovered her in the mid-1960s and gave her national exposure. He didn't just feature her once, he kept bringing her back. Nearly 100 appearances proved that. That kind of consistency was rare. What truly showed his faith was naming her permanent guest host. No other woman received that honor. Joan sat in Johnny's chair and carried television's biggest show. That meant trusting her with his legacy. Johnny believed she understood the tone, respected the format, and could protect what he built. For decades, Joan had unmatched access and trust. She was family, a protege he mentored and elevated. Their later fallout doesn't erase that history. For years, she was more than a guest. She was someone Johnny wanted to see succeed. That was professional love. Carol Wayne was part of the foundation. She wasn't an occasional visitor, but central to Art Fern's Tea Time movie sketches. Over 100 appearances across 17 years proved that. This wasn't laziness or repetition. It was Johnny choosing to build something lasting with her. Those sketches demanded perfect timing and total commitment. Carol delivered every time. She played it straight, never broke character, and always supported the bit. She knew exactly when to react and when to hold still. That precision made the jokes land, and that skill made her indispensable. That kind of success comes from knowing exactly where you fit in the machine. Carson keeping that sketch alive with Carol as his regular on-screen partner says a lot. He respected her timing and trusted her presence. She belonged in the world they built together. He relied on her to deliver every night, season after season. A recurring role like that carries more weight than a single standout interview. It means you help define the show itself. You become part of what makes The Tonight Show feel familiar. Carol Wayne earned that place because Johnny truly enjoyed working with her. She made his job smoother. She was dependable, and even after doing the same bit countless times, she still kept it sharp and funny. Then came Teresa Gansel, the second matinee lady. Gansel stepped in during the mid-1980s, replacing Carol Wayne. It was a difficult transition. Carol had owned that role for nearly 20 years. Audiences adored her, but Carson chose Teresa deliberately because he'd worked with her before and liked what she brought. A University of Nebraska article points out that she got the recurring spot because she was already one of his favorite guests. That distinction matters. Recurring bits aren't handed out casually. They go to people you trust to perform. Teresa showed she was capable of carrying that legacy. She brought a different vibe, but matched the same professionalism, timing, and dedication. Carson's production company also collaborated with her elsewhere, showing a lasting professional appreciation. When Carson liked working with someone, he kept them close. Teresa was a clear example of that.
She ultimately became part of the Tonight Show family in its final years. She was someone Carson relied on to preserve the quality and rhythm that defined the show. Then there was Doris Day, the guest who genuinely unsettled him. Her appearances were rare because she avoided talk shows later in life. After being one of the biggest stars in the world, she largely withdrew from the spotlight. Fan archives and discography sites note that her 1974 appearance and later visits with Johnny were rare live TV exceptions. She didn't do this for just anyone. She did it for Johnny. In one well-known clip, Carson is visibly nervous and unusually deferential, something viewers almost never saw. This was Johnny Carson, a man who interviewed presidents, managed chaos, and controlled every second of his show. Yet Doris Day rattled him. It showed in his posture and his voice, like someone meeting a lifelong hero, which she was. Doris Day represented Hollywood royalty from another era, and Johnny treated her accordingly. Those moments matter because they were so rare, because she trusted him enough to appear, and because it clearly meant everything to him. Johnny valued loyalty above almost anything else. He enjoyed certain people deeply and showed it through trust, opportunity, and gentle teasing. He remembered who helped make his show work night after night in an industry built on surface-level relationships. These 10 women stood apart. They were Johnny's inner circle, the guests he was happiest to see step through the curtain. They helped turn 3 decades behind that desk into something that felt less like a job and more like home. They understood when to challenge him, when to ease off, and when to simply let him be. That level of connection is uncommon. Bonds like that don't form easily. Were you aware of Johnny Carson's favorite female guests? Which relationship surprised you most? What stood out to you in this video? Share your thoughts below, and if you want more deep dives into The Tonight Show's history, be sure to subscribe and support the channel.